Today on Movie Talk, is Jesse coming back in a Breaking Bad movie? We're going to find out. We got some character posters for Aquaman. Do you like them? Are they a bit too bright for your eyes? And also, Taron Egerton, is he coming back? Is he going to be on Kingsman 3? Is he going to be the prequel? We're going to figure all that out here on Collider Movie Talk. That's right, I talked under the thing. That's what Ellis likes us to do, so I did it. I'm so used to being on that side. Welcome, everybody, to Collider Movie Talk. I am your host for today, John Roca. Mark Ellis is out there doing multiple things in his world and in his life, so he asked me to step in, but I couldn't do it alone, you know that. So riding shotgun with me here in our big van, Perri Nemiroff. How are you, Perri?
I'm doing well. It's weird having you in the hosting seat. I kind of like it. The pressure's on, man.
The pressure's on me. It's kind of crazy, right?
Remember, don't screw it up.
That's right. Can I read? And you know, she's the producer of the show, so she's watching me with two eyes.
I wrote you some good notes.
You did. Fine. You did a great job there. Yeah, I hope. Yeah, I'll just read. That's what all I'll do. And of course, Dennis Zhang. You saw them here there in the wide shot. He's here as well. Hey, Dennis.
I'm doing okay. I feel like old man Dennis today.
Why is that?
I did a doctor physical checkup today.
What?
So they're like taking all my blood and shooting me up with stuff. And
nice.
You know,
all right. Well, let's not try to bring the episode down there, Dennis. Come on, you're alive. That's the positive, right? That's a good thing. And any results? Getting results yet? You're good to go.
No.
All right. I just want to make sure.
It seems like I'm fine.
Doctor report.
I'm sure they'll send me something during the show.
All right. Well, fair enough. Well, our first story has to deal with someone we haven't seen since the end of Breaking Bad. I know this is weird to talk about a TV show on Movie Talk, but it's been announced that this is possibly happening here, a Breaking Bad movie. It may be a sequel that follows Jesse Pinkman. That's one Aaron Paul's character from the TV show. We're getting this from Slash Film. They said that it's suggested that this will be a television movie possibly or a feature film. We'll see how it happens. But you hear all this coming. It's filming this month, and Vince Gilligan wrote it and is executive producing the film. It's supposed to track the escape of a kidnapped man and his quest for freedom. Now, this is possibly a spoiler alert for many of you who haven't seen the show yet. Jesse does escape at the end, so this may be why Aaron Paul is being rumored to be a part of it. You hear this story, Perri Nemiroff. You're not necessarily the biggest TV watcher, but you do watch a lot of shows. You do you do guest spots sometimes on TV Talk. You hear this stuff. What is your thought process here? Another AMC show becoming a feature film.
I'm a big TV watcher. There's only so many hours in the day.
That's right.
I did watch all of Breaking Bad. I'm no Breaking Bad expert by any means, but just the idea of them doing a movie, no matter where it airs too, because no one's really clarified whether this is strictly going to be for AMC or there's a chance that it could be on the big screen, because I believe the deal with Breaking Bad is a little different than Walking Dead, because Sony Pictures has the rights to Breaking Bad, whereas AMC owns The Walking Dead outright. So that one is much more likely to premiere on AMC, whereas this one could get a theatrical release if they really wanted. But this is just so interesting to me, especially as the producer of this show too, because we're hitting a point where the line between TV and film and what you cover in each realm is being blurred big time, because we have the rise of streaming services and you have networks like AMC that have to compete with it. And it just seems like this move with both Walking Dead and Breaking Bad could be their way to kind of get in that game and draw more people as people are being distracted by all these streaming services around them.
Yeah, it's a very interesting choice by AMC to do this. I'm fascinated that they've made the decision going into this realm, going into possible feature films or even TV movies, high-end TV movies. I imagine they're going to sink, a lot of their budget into a TV movie like this. And you bring in Aaron Paul. That's the rumors here from Slash Film. Did you see Breaking Bad?
Yes,
so
I did.
Does this excite you? Do you want to see a feature film? Has it been too long since the end of the show to go into a feature film? Because Deadwood just got announced with a synopsis yesterday and a cast list yesterday. So
I think the difference with Deadwood is, you're a Deadwood fan. Deadwood, we did not get closure on that. That's why I want to see this Deadwood movie, even though it's just going to be for HBO, because it's something we didn't have an ending to. I felt like Breaking Bad gave us a nice ending, a nice send off, and I don't know if I want to. Will I see it? Will I be excited for it? Sure, but I think one, it has been a long time, and two, the whole kind of main reason for watching Breaking Bad is seeing the interaction between Walter White and Jesse Pinkman.
Right.
And if Walter White is not part of that, and it's just about Jesse Pinkman, not that it can't be interesting or fun.
Right.
Like we've seen that with Better Call Saul, how they've taken that world or that universe and made it very interesting. But Breaking Bad to me had always been about those two guys.
Right. Well, we don't know who's directing this film, do we? We just know.
I mean, Vince Gilligan, they're talking about, especially if it's for like a TV movie.
Yeah.
They're talking about having him. Obviously, he's going to write it and direct it.
I don't think there's anything confirmed with that, but with Jesse's story, that is one thing that did feel a little kind of open-ended to me, with whether or not he rides off into the sunset or he gets caught, and that's something Vince Gilligan has spoken about. So I do feel like if you're going to do this and it's going to be a sequel story, that's really the only route to go. And Slash Film's latest update on this too had quotes from Bryan Cranston. I forget what show he was on. He was on a show and he spoke a little bit about it. And he said, I haven't even seen a script. So at this point in time, it's not like he can confirm or deny whether or not he'll be part of it. He did say in those quotes that if he is asked, he will do it. And if you watch Breaking Bad, they're able to work in flashbacks very well. So I would be surprised if they wound up making this movie and he was not included, even if it was just a super short flashback scene.
Yeah, well, on IMDb, Gilligan is listed as the director and writer for this film. He's only written a feature. Hancock is the only feature film that he's actually written. Everything else has been TV shows, TV series, X-Files, what have you. So to me, this concerns me a little bit because it's tough to make that jump. We saw that with the Entourage movie. That was a complete and abject failure. What's going to happen here with Breaking Bad? Do we want to go back?
That's why I don't think it's going to be in the theater. I think it's going to be on the movie.
TV.
I mean, Vince Gilligan, he wrote and directed the finale, the series finale for Breaking Bad. So it just makes sense if they're going to make a TV movie, he'll write it, he'll direct it, and he'll appear on AMC. So I just don't think I do think it would be a bad move for them to put it into theaters because of what you're saying, like something like Entourage, where it's hard to do. I mean, even Game of Thrones, they had thought about doing the kind of the season or series ending all in the theaters, but of course HBO is like, well, our whole point is to get people to subscribe to our streaming network, not make one-off money in the theater.
But I think that also speaks to what a lot of these networks are doing now with their content. They're making it more cinematic. More like a lot of people thought the Battle of the Bastards, that would have been a fantastic movie to see in the theaters with Game of Thrones. I'm sure there are a number of episodes here, including the finale, that would have been interesting to see in the theaters. Now, we see this with other, like Doctor Who sometimes will screen their season premieres or series or season enders in the theaters, and it's fantastic, because they're almost an hour and a half. It's fun to watch in the theaters, but something shot specifically for the theaters is an interesting decision by AMC. And like, are they creating a separate division of just TV movie? Like, are we gonna see a Hell on Wheels movie? We're like, what's down the pike? All these. That's what I'm saying. All these great AMC shows. Is there more coming down the pike for them?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, as much as I want to see certain very cinematic TV shows on the big screen, we're also in the day and age where you're rewarded if you give people the opportunity to sit at home and watch your content. And that's basically what all of these mainstays, whether we're talking about networks like AMC or even big studios, like, you have Disney taking they license stuff to Netflix. Now they don't have it anymore. All these studios are realizing this stuff that they used to shell out. Yeah. Now they're taking it back, and we have all these streaming services rising up. So I think it would behoove them to not necessarily take the plunge and spend all that money putting something on the big screen, and to work to keep people dedicated to AMC by putting the content there and only there. Yeah,
and you could ruin your brand if you release a theatrical feature and it sinks and it tanks and it doesn't do well. It kind of tarnishes a little bit your TV show that you did. So
plus, you're only going to have mostly, not all, but mostly the people who watch the show already go see in the theater.
Right, because there's so many things they're going to reference in those movies, in that movie, right? Yeah.
And then with AMC, though, it's interesting because, Walking Dead was a big hit, Breaking Bad and Mad Men were critical hits. They really don't have any new properties coming out there. That's hence why they probably have those Walking Dead movies, the trilogy of movies, and then this coming out. It's like they don't have anything. Into
the Badlands ain't doing anything much for them. Yeah.
Are they? What's their streaming service like?
What do you mean?
Like, is it because I know, like, I have Hulu TV, like the cable paid version. I do not have AMC on there. I know they are on certain networks.
Yeah, on demand and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, do they have a singular one? I know, like, FX has a singular
I don't think they have a singular one that I know of. Do you know, Perri?
I have the app on my iPad, and all I do is I put in my Spectrum username and password, and then I have access to all the episodes I want there.
Okay. I'm just wondering what route they eventually will take, because we're getting fragmented in all those streaming services. Eventually, these are going to have to fold into bigger services.
As cable packages start to die, I have a feeling that all of these networks are going to have to start following in the footsteps of every other entertainment entity out there and create their own. As sad as it sounds, I mean, I know how much you hate tallying up all the monthly fees you have to pay, but where else does it seem like they're heading?
No, but the thing is they're not going to be able to survive. I mean,
some won't survive.
Most won't survive.
Or you posed this, I think, when you said there's going to be a package deal. It's like right now you can buy a cable package. Eventually, it could be a streaming service package.
It's going to be the same thing as cable, just over the internet.
Well, it's crazy because like I signed up for Amazon Prime. I had my girlfriend's a massive British TV fan. I had no idea there's a thing called BritBox. That's an extra $8 a month. Then there's something even deeper. If you're deeper into British television, called Sundance TV, you have to apply that to get Law and Order UK. It's nuts. There's so much.
So I assume you have those now.
Yeah, I have. I gotta keep her happy, don't I? Like I gotta make sure she's all right. So I pay that extra stuff a month, but it's amazing when you tally up. It's almost more than cable. So I don't know. It's crazy. Well, let's move on to the next story about a film that's actually going to be in the theaters. We know that for sure. That is Aquaman. Warner Brothers released a series of Aquaman character posters today. We know James Wan obviously is directing this one, and we see Jason Momoa, we see Amber Heard, we see Nicole Kidman, we see Patrick Wilson, we see Black Manta, and all of that here in these character posters. Even Dolph Lundgren got himself a character poster. How do you like that? I got to ask you, Dennis, you're a designer. You love looking at these kinds of things. What do you think of these posters? Did they work for you? Do they get you excited? I mean,
the color palette I like just because it's bright and it's something that would stand out if you're in the movie theater. But the Photoshop stuff is just like. It's like they just take a picture of whatever actor's in that role and they just Photoshop it to hell and they attach it to some other model's head. They get a model to pose in a certain way and maybe some costume and they just Photoshop it. Like the heads are just like, it's got that floating. It's not the worst floating head syndrome that I've seen, but it does have that element where you can see the perspective and the size, or they're definitely off. So that part kind of turns me off, but I mean, I like the direction they're going with. I just, because I like seeing the details of the costumes, the individual costumes, and it's nice and bright. Not everything has to be super, super dark. But
certainly bright, if nothing else.
Yes, but the Photoshop heads I could do without.
Nems, as an editor of your own YouTube channel and all these things, what do you think about this?
Thanks for that credit.
Of course.
So the first thing I always ask myself when I look at a poster is, will I hang it on my wall? No, I am not hanging any of these on my wall. But kind of like what you just said, when I picture what these look like, hanging from the rafters, that's some eye-catching color that really pops. And also, it's like they're kind of silly looking, but I almost applaud them for going big, bold, and silly. Like, just look at Patrick Wilson's face in this. Like, that is going to catch your eye. And there's something about it that makes me smile. I just want to see this movie.
I think you're absolutely right, actually, Perri. I think, because this is not meant to be seen on a small computer or whatever. It's meant to be hanging in banners or hanging in there in the theater. So it's going to catch your eye. It's going to get you. And you're right. The vibe it gives off is a film that isn't going to take itself too seriously. Looks like a lot of fun. The attention to detail is pretty badass in all their costumes and the armor, everything going on. I would say the Black Manta one is my favorite one, bar none. And then the Nicole Kidman one actually looks really good. She looks very regal and majestic as a queen, very powerful in the all white, and the look on her face isn't like Aquaman or Amber Heard or Momoa. They're like, looking down. It's just a straight shot at you, and I like that.
The Black Manta one, I think has the edge because I think it's kind of the Photoshop thing you were talking about, where when you don't have a human face, you can't see that the perspective is a little bit off, and if I had to hang one of them on my wall, it would probably be the Black Manta one.
Not Willem Dafoe. He scares you too. As a horror fan, that's kind of a horror-like look he's got there.
I guess. I mean, I take the same issue with that poster as the issue that Dennis just described. So that one's not for me.
All right. Well, something that might be for you is Collider Heroes. We dropped a new episode of that today. The lovely Ashley Victoria Robinson stopped by, one of our favorite Canadians. She stopped by to be the guest today. today. We talked about all kinds of things, including Ewan McGregor coming on as Black Mask in that Birds of Prey movie and what that means for the movie overall. And also we talked about the Walking Dead stuff. Walking Dead movies, what does that mean? They got into the comic book pull list. They answered some Twitter questions. A lot of goodness from Coy Jandreau and Amy Dallin there with Ashley. So to watch that, that's over there on the Collider live channel or Collider channel there. And also, here's the thing. Send us some Twitter questions on Twitter. Do it a hashtag Collider Movie Talk. We want to compile some questions. We've got a special episode that we're going to do on Monday, and we want to answer a lot of your questions. So send them in. I'm sure Perri is going to pick out the best ones to be answered on that show. And, be inventive, be interesting, be fun, be unique, be better than those Aquaman posters. Be something that is eye-catching, but something also you want to hang on your wall there. Perri, anything else you want to say?
If I don't want to print your Twitter question out and hang it on my wall, it's not getting picked for the show.
That's right. So that's your motivation. So get on it. Ask some cool, interesting questions. Remember,
I feel like I'm going to get a whole bunch of, like text art now or something.
like little things of fudge. But remember the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. We'll compile, we'll pick out some questions. We're going to answer them for the special episode on Monday. All right, let's move on to some more movie news. Taron Egerton. This is the one we want to kind of unwrap a little bit and figure this out. He was doing an interview here and with Yahoo UK, and he stated that I don't know how hot off the press this is, and I think I'm allowed to say it, but I'm not in the next Kingsman movie. That doesn't mean I won't be in Kingsman ever again. I was with Matthew Vaughn as little as a few days ago. We're still very much in business together, but his next journey in that world doesn't involve me. Now, he may be referencing Kingsman 3, but it sounds more like he's referencing this prequel that Matthew Vaughn said he's working on, a spin-off / prequel, Kingsman: The Great Game. And he's apparently supposed to be shooting in June. Matthew Vaughn told Empire he's shooting Kingsman 3 and that Kingsman: The Great Game film, both of them back to back. So he may be focused on the prequel one first, then Kingsman 3, even though they're shooting back to back. So Perri, you hear this? Does this make sense to you? Do you like that Egerton is not going to be in this prequel thing as like his great-great-grandfather or something? Like, what do you think?
Oh my, I definitely wouldn't want that. This didn't surprise me at all. And I love the idea of a prequel movie. I wouldn't mind going way back and figuring out a little more about the rise of the Kingsman, especially when you look at everything that he's trying to work on with this franchise now, between a statesman movie, you have the TV series, you have Kingsman 3 proper, and then also this prequel. So it didn't surprise me one bit. Give him off a film that way. Mm-hmm. Also, you could start better expanding the whole Kingsman world that way, and then we'll get him back for Kingsman 3. No big deal.
Yeah, and Taron, he's got Robin Hood coming out. He's got a number of things that he's doing. Got Rocket Man coming out as well. He's now a very busy, in-demand actor working on multiple projects. Kingsman kind of launched him. Maybe he, now we see this all the time with stars of franchises. Once they kind of move away from their franchise, start doing more and more work because now they're stars, they eventually do come back, but it isn't necessarily like we saw this with Vin Diesel. Not to make that exact comparison, but Vin Diesel took a couple of Fast and Furious movies off, then came back and became a very strong part of it. Again, this Great Game film, it'll introduce a new teen hero named Comrade who wants to fight in World War I, as well as a new dapper older gentleman. And the rumor is that Ralph Fiennes is going to be, I could see Ralph Fiennes in a bowler and a nice suit with an umbrella. Lord God, can I see that? Especially in the 1900s. What do you think about this? Are you excited about Great Game? And do you think Taron Egerton is doing the right thing?
I am. Unlike where we just talked about Breaking Bad and how I felt like Breaking Bad is the story about Jesse Pinkman and Walter White. This one, even though I think Taron Egerton and Colin Firth are great, the world that they built for it is big enough and interesting enough that you don't have to have them in there.
Right.
So watching the next one being The Great Game and them not being in it, I'm totally fine with that. And if he comes back for the third one, which it sounds like that's the one after that one, it's perfectly fine. I think some people were getting confused, and even myself was getting confused reading all the stories about this, thinking like, okay, he's not in the third one, and he's going to be in the fourth one. It's really, they're just skipping over the third one in that storyline and doing kind of a prequel first and then going back, kind of like what was that? Why am I blanking on it? The wolves and the vampire. What's that? Underworld. Remember they did they did 1, 2.
Yeah, Rona Mitra. Rona Mitra stepped
was,
in.
Was the prequel, and they went back again. So that's kind of what's happening here, and I'm perfectly fine with it because I do enjoy that world.
And shout out to Kate for coming back and doing those. She didn't have to. I think she didn't have to, but to see her come back and do those, I have a standing date with one of my ex-girlfriends. We go see whenever a new installment of that comes out. We go together, and we don't understand why we go, but it's something we did when we were together, and we're still friends. So then we'll go occasionally for the opening night of whatever Underworld film is coming out. But Perri, you hear this idea with Great Game. Do you like this expansion? Because do you think they want to go with Great Game and not jump into a third one because of what happened and the reception of Golden Circle? It didn't quite, a lot of people not necessarily didn't like the movie, but didn't hit the heights that people thought the first one did. Do you like this idea of introducing a bunch of new characters? Because some people complained about that with that second film with Channing Tatum and Jeff Bridges. And
I think I like it, but I can't speak as someone who didn't really like the second Kingsman. I understand what was different about it. And I think the main thing about Kingsman 2 that disappointed me was that we didn't get a lot of the statesman in it.
Yeah.
I wanted to know a little bit about that because part of the reason I was so excited about that being incorporated in the sequel idea is we knew what Eggsy went through. We know what was going on with Kingsman. I want to see how a similar organization in another place operates. And we didn't really dip our toe in that world nearly enough. So I'm happy that they're making another movie or planning another movie, at least about the statesman. But with the prequel idea, I love that. It basically gives them almost another try in a way.
It feels like
if you can't expand,
like a quiet reboot to a degree.
A little bit. And also because Kingsman, the first Kingsman, is so beloved and it's so much fun. And going through that whole training process with Eggsy and learning about Kingsman through Eggsy's eyes is so effective in that the idea of going back and seeing how certain Kingsman rituals and rules came into place, I think that's got loads of potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you like this idea too, Dennis? Do you think this is why? Like it kind of washes the palate a little bit from Golden Circle and lets people take a little bit of
Golden
break?
Circle.
Okay.
I didn't. It's not as good as the first
So
one.
I'm the only one. Am I the only one? Is that what it is? Who didn't think it was that great?
No, there's a lot of people who didn't
Maybe
care
just at
for
this
it.
table.
Yeah, that's what I feel like at this table. Yeah.
But yeah, I like, just like I said, I like the world. I think it'll be fun to watch because now the technology has to be lesser than what we've seen in Kingsman 1 and 2, and how they deal with that and how they make that creatively, have weapons and vehicles and just their whole world. And like Perri said, seeing if any of these traditions that we've seen in the current ones, maybe they come to fruition during this prequel.
Well, he's certainly ambitious because, like you said, Perri, he's got a Kingsman TV series coming up and then a Statesman film. So he's got a lot in his wheelhouse that he wants to handle in this universe. We'll see what kind of part Egerton has as this goes along. Because honestly, you don't necessarily need him. Kingsman is the brand. You can bring in multiple different people to be a part of it, and it would be fun to explore it, on different continents even. I say this all the time. Franchise films don't necessarily have to only occur in America or the UK. They can occur in other places. Like World War Z could be in France. There's all kinds of things that can occur, and you hope a franchise, especially a franchise that's kind of European based, can go multiple places and not just stay America and UK based. We had Pedro Pascal. It could be a Latino Kingsman. Why not? Los Reyes, something like that. You never know. All right, let's move on to our next story here, and that is a trailer for The Secret Life of Pets 2. This is basically the Perri Nemiroff life story with Dewey. Universal and Illumination, they released this trailer today for Secret Life of Pets 2. Chris Burnell and writer Brian Lynch have reprised their duties for this sequel. There's not much plot details released except that Patton Oswalt is stepping in for Louis C.K. We all know why. Stuff going on behind the scenes. But original cast members Kevin Hart, Jenny Slate, Eric Stonestreet, Ellie Kemper, Lake Bell, Dana Carvey, the great Dana Carvey, Hannibal Buress, and our own friend Bobby Moynihan here at Collider are all returning. But there are some new cast members. And guess who? Tiffany Haddish, of course, doing everything and anything under the sun. Nick Kroll, Pete Holmes, and Harrison Ford. My Lord, Harrison Ford voicing one of the pets. Will there be a Star Wars reference? All right, look, I would normally go to Dennis on this one, but I think I have to start with Perri Nemiroff and her amazing love of Dewey. Perri, did the sequel? Did you like this trailer for this sequel?
Why do you even have to ask me that question? Of course I liked it. As someone who has never lived a day of her life without a pet or a family pet, I've gone through many, many vet visits, and I've seen many different cat and dog reactions at this point. Just bringing Dewey to the vet for the first time. You guys both know Dewey.
Yeah.
A stranger comes to my apartment and he rolls over for a belly rub. All he wants is love and affection all day long. You take that cat to a vet and he hisses, and I've just never heard the weirdest noises I've ever heard come out of him at the vet. So just to be able to see all these different pet reactions and hear their inner monologues and like what could be going on in their heads while they're sitting there, I got the biggest kick out of this. However, I did get the biggest kick out of basically 100% of the marketing campaign for the first Secret Life of Pets movie. And while I did like it, I mean, it charmed me to no end because pets are such a big deal in my life. And I think Illumination does a really good job of having, you know, very crowd-pleasing animated films. I will say that first movie disappointed me just a little bit with the story. The story didn't really... you know, it wasn't that deep and it was a little predictable, but I still enjoyed watching it. So I'm curious to see if after this, it winds up going down the same path where I just love every trailer I see. And then the movies, it's fun, but it's fine.
Right. I will say this, Illumination, you know, no one talks enough about Illumination. Yeah, Pixar was on this winning streak. Illumination does really well for animation.
Legit had... I think a 75% Illumination movie talk yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. They're slowly like becoming a very reliable animation studio in this industry, and that's tough to do. Very tough to do when you're competing with Disney, you're competing with Pixar, and you're competing also with DreamWorks Animation. So you see this coming out. Dennis, did you see the first one?
Yeah, I did. And it was all right. It was enjoyable. But
I mean, it made $875 million worldwide, Dennis.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're taking a cute animation. You're taking cute pets. I mean, you're going to get a lot of people watching that. Right. For me, like, you know, you talked about the Patton Oswalt thing taking over for Louis C.K. Like, when I saw this trailer we're gonna watch this trailer, I was like, oh, are they gonna just start brand new?
Right.
Because honestly, like for me, the first movie, like it's kind of forgettable in a way. So like I don't really remember like, oh, this is the main dog, and this is the main, you know, I knew Louis C.K. did the voice or whatever, but like none of those things were so memorable. I thought they were just going to reboot the whole thing. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe because kids may have formed attachments, and I'm a young older jaded adult now. Like I thought they were just going to redo like a different city with different pets and different owner, you know. But like I guess they had to keep with the main. Is it Max? What's the name?
Yeah, Max. Yeah.
With that character, I mean, honestly, watching the trailer didn't miss. Like, honestly,
it could have been a separate movie and you'd have been fine.
Yeah.
I get that.
But I kind of like this whole clip as a trailer thing. You know, like it's different, and some movies get away with it, like where they just show like a short scene from the movie, and then you get a taste of what it is, but you're not seeing like every single scene and knowing. You know, I mentioned this I think to you after we watched Halloween, like that ending was like a little ruined for me because I saw the trailer, you know, and then they showed like a little. It was just a tiny bit of it.
You caught something you thought would be the ending.
Yes, and it was.
And then when it happened, it was.
Yes.
All right.
So.
Well, spoiler alert. Yeah. There you go. All right. I like the scene they showed at Hall H for Halloween. That got me into it. That could have been the trailer, right?
This is like my dream come true. We just transitioned from pets to Halloween.
There should be a horror animation. I'm down with Illumination. Get on that.
No, remember it's horror Lego movie. So it's like the slashers in Lego form.
Oh. Yeah. All right, but I want a
horror.
I
haven't sold anyone here on that yet.
But I like this trailer. This, you know, the reason we love animation is when they do other characters, other species, whatever. It's because they have human characteristics, right? We gravitate to that, and you saw that in this trailer. You know, the mental health stuff is becoming more and more talked about in our national conscious, and that's a good thing. And I think you saw that in these pets. This idea of one pet who is like, wait, I don't have social anxiety, and then you see the cat do the things that it does. Then you see the dog be, well, maybe I'm not a good dog. Maybe I'm a good dog. These are things that people are legitimately dealing with every day in their lives, and you see it conveyed through the pet. So I think that's another thing that's good too, is people go to see these movies and then they see themselves in these things, so they gravitate and understand them. And I like that, and I thought it was very funny. The cat's turning around going, they like to start fires. That scared the hell out of me.
That was the best part.
That's right.
Did you appreciate the fact that it was at the beginning, it was a gray cat with green eyes?
I did. And what did I tell you? There's a conduit between heaven and hell. Is the gray cat with green eyes, and clearly that cat has seen some hell. That's for sure. All right, we'll see what happens. It comes out on June 7th of next year. I'm sure there'll be more. I think there'll be more character trailers, is what they're saying here. So we'll see some more with these other characters, maybe the returning characters and the new characters for Secret Life of Pets 2. All right, hey, this is the point in the show where Mark Ellis usually goes, we want to hear your Twitter questions. We want to answer them live on the show. So send us some Twitter questions. Do it with Collider Movie Talk. Not the Twitter questions you want to have for Monday. Send us specific ones for live for this episode of Movie Talk. We'll answer maybe one or two or even three, depending on the questions and when we stop of your questions here. So remember to do the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. I'll be looking on Twitter as we talk about this next story, which is, once again, a TV situation, a feature film about a TV situation in this way, but this one's a documentary, and it's about Nickelodeon. The first trailer for the upcoming documentary, it's called The Orange Years, has been released. We actually work like down the street from Nickelodeon, so I pass it every day. The film chronicles the origins and success of the cable channel Nickelodeon in the 1990s. It features interviews with the stars and creators of the content that dominated the childhoods of those coming of age 2 decades ago. The documentary is directed by Scott Barber and Adam Sweeney. It's due to premiere on November 15th at the DOC in New York City, at the SVA Theater in New York City, but doesn't have a release date yet. Dennis, do you remember Nickelodeon? Do you remember? Did you grow up with the Rugrats, all this stuff?
Well, I am pre-Rugrats,
okay.
But I definitely grew up on Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon was the alternative kids channel to the Disney Channel. You know, not all of us could afford to watch the Disney Channel because back then the Disney Channel was like a premium channel. Like
it was.
You had to pay for it, like you pay for HBO. So I watched Nickelodeon, and you can't do that on television. There was a show called 15 that was called Hillside in Canada, and it was like this teen drama show, and that's where Ryan Reynolds got his start.
Oh, nice!
He was on that show. I wish he was in the trailer for the documentary.
Well,
he probably didn't want to associate to his like old roots or whatever. But yeah, it's cool. I grew up on Nickelodeon. I didn't. Yeah, Rugrats came after kind of that phase for me. But Ren and Stimpy. Love that stuff. Double Dare. It was fun seeing like some of the older actors well, actually not older at that time, but they're older now. The hosts and the actors that used to be on that show on there. Salute Your Shorts, that stuff. So I'm interested. They dropped this trailer actually like a year ago.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, and this is like the official. It's the exact same one, just higher resolution, and now they have like a more. I think it's premiering like in a few weeks.
Yeah.
But I think they were like trying to get funding for it like a year ago, so they put it out there. But I'm interested in seeing it just because that is part of my kind of childhood.
Yeah. Perri, did you grow up on Nickelodeon? Is your thing? Were you slimed as a child as you were watching these Nickelodeons?
I actually was slimed as a child.
What?
I think it was at the time they might have had it at Universal Studios in Orlando. But
yes.
you know when you don't necessarily remember the memory, but the picture is, I don't know, like on mom's refrigerator or something, so you could visualize it. And there's a picture of me like with my hands out catching slime or something. But I was a big Nickelodeon kid. I was definitely of the Rugrats generation, and this channel consumed my entire life as a kid. Watching Snick on Saturday night was just the biggest deal in the world to me. And being able to see some of these people, it almost gave me chills. I had the biggest smile on my face from start to finish watching this trailer. When the trailer ended, I didn't want it to end. I wanted more right now. I really hope that after that debut, this thing secures some distribution. It sounds like a great pickup for any
Netflix,
streaming service out there. Get this documentary, because I would love to bet that anyone who is roughly my age will just go and watch this thing the second it becomes available.
Yeah, it seems like now would be the time the generation that grew up with Nickelodeon would love to go back and revisit those years, revisit those shows. You know, things like All That, or my favorite, Clarissa Explains It All. Melissa Joan Hart, one of my favorites. I saw her on the red carpet at Ralph Breaks the Internet, and I almost went up and told her how much I enjoyed that show, but did not. Ren and Stimpy, The Wild Thornberries. We're still getting, look, SpongeBob SquarePants, Tom Kenny is in that trailer as well. Double Dare, which Alex Trebek hosted for a bit. The Secret World of Alex Mack. So many interesting shows here, and a good mix of actors and they say on the trailer, it was kids, and it was diverse. It was very diverse without necessarily trying to be diverse. It was just naturally, organically diverse. That was a positive thing about Nickelodeon, you know?
I just remember you can't do that on television. Everyone would like the whole thing where if you say water gets poured on you. Is it if you say I don't know, they pour the slime on you? Like those were like big things like you watched that, and then when you went to school, you kind of like took those things with you, and that's what you talked about.
It's like all that. I just remember going to school the next day and talking about whatever the sketches they had on all that were, and just like so many of those characters, and just to see where certain actors that were on that show wound up, like to start this trailer with Kenan Thompson, I thought was a really smart move.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that's it for all the news stories. Let's get into some Twitter questions here. I found one here. This is very... Now, Dennis and Perri told me which Twitter questions, the subject matter that they didn't want me to talk about,
that's
and
not
the ones
true.
they wanted me to talk about. They're like, format. They're like, don't do the top 10, whatever, the top 5, whatever.
Order with two vowels in them.
I like this one from Luis E. de la Peña. He asks, if you could choose to have a sequel from a TV show you liked, which one would it be? I'd like one for Game of Thrones.
I'd like one for Ash versus Evil Dead. If you watched the last season of that show, there was a wonderful cliffhanger that had all the potential in the world, and then Starz canceled it.
I mean, mine would have been Deadwood because that was the one where they had a cliffhanger, and it wasn't a cliffhanger where like, oh, we're going to leave you this open-ended ending for all time for you to think about. It was no, we're coming back, and then it ended up not happening. For me, it would be Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Oh, okay.
They have like an open-ended. They weren't sure if they were coming back for a third season or not. They had an ending where definitely it was a cliffhanger that you could leave open, or you could continue on with it. So I'd love to see that. Never going to happen. I mean, that was Lena Headey. Before Game of Thrones. So that would be mine.
Not Lena Headey, as some people might confuse the name with. You're both wrong. The answer is Parks and Recreation. That's the sequel that you want to see. That's maybe the greatest sitcom that's come around the last 30 years. It's such a fantastic show, and I like the way they ended the series, but I would have loved to have seen like a sequel where you bring everybody back together again, and they go on some adventure that they have to figure out, or some kind of city council thing. Especially nowadays, with how politics is so prevalent in our society over the last couple of years, it'd be really interesting to see their take on it, maybe humorous take on it. It would be interesting and more human take on it. So I'd love to see that as well. All right, one quick funny one I saw here. Let me see if I can throw it in here.
I feel like what you think is funny is very different from what I think is funny.
Of course, it's subjective. Oh, wait, let's do this one. Mike Hawk from @Hawk821512. If you could only see one movie, the Aquaman movie, the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, or Wonder Woman 2, which one would you see?
Joker. Always Joker.
Okay.
I mean, I just think it's a fascinating character, and also with Joaquin Phoenix, everyone's interested and curious to see what he's like an Oscar caliber actor. His take on it, and seeing how it's going to differ from Heath Ledger's, and just because he's going to be the main focus. So even though I'm interested in seeing all three movies, I think it'd be Joker.
Okay. Perri?
This is stressful. I want to support James Wan. I really love the idea of DC doing a Joker standalone film that isn't necessarily connected to everything we've seen before, but I think I got to support Wonder Woman. I mean, especially if I'm going to pay to see this movie, I want my money to be going to Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins and how much they crushed it with the first film, and I got a whole lot of faith in them with this second one, so I think I'm going that route.
Okay. I like this conversational question. This comes from L. Palmer @Otto_Llewellyn. He asks, do you think as studios like Disney get into the streaming business, they'll skip putting their films on HBO and Showtime in favor of the streaming service after the theatrical release?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah?
They're already pulling stuff.
Okay.
Every contract they have with any other, like either television network or streaming service, they're just letting them lapse. That's like with the Netflix thing. all new like Marvel stuff is gonna be on that service.
Right.
They were trying to buy back the rights to the Star Wars television rights that went to, I think it was at TNT or TBS. I forgot. It was like one of those channels that had them until like 2000 or 2022 or something like that, and because they want them on the streaming network.
Okay.
So yeah, they're gonna bypass all those things. There's only going to be one place that you can watch Disney movies or TV shows, and it's going to be that streaming service.
All right. Well, I got one more question to ask, but first let me drop some plugs in for tomorrow. Don't forget here on Collider, the Riley Roundtable tomorrow. I don't know who's going to be on it, but Riley Roundtable comes out tomorrow. A new episode of Jedi Council drops live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Perri Nemiroff is going to be on that one. What do you know, Perri? I've got you a good lineup and rundown for you to talk about Star Wars. Josh McCougan and I are going to do Sportsbook Thursday night. If Mark Fernandez can stop in, he will. Carolina Panthers taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers on the game tomorrow. We'll talk about that, give you our thoughts on the line. And another episode of Movie Talk drops tomorrow as well. I don't know who's hosting that one. Who's hosting that? Is it Mark Ellis? Mark Ellis will be back to host that one. So, you won't get this pretty face, but you'll get Mark Ellis, and that's what works. All right, this is the last one I want to ask. Here I go, getting too excited, spitting again. This is from Steve Calderon at Steve Calderon 85. He asks, your thoughts on actress Elsa Gonzalez possibly starring in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story remake in Rita Moreno's Anita role. Is she perfect for the part? Perri.
So I didn't know all that much about Isa Gonzalez before I saw Baby Driver. That's where I'm like, who is that?
She's so
she
good
had a very little role, but a whole lot of spark and charisma to her, and she's picking up a whole lot of stuff. She's got a very, very busy upcoming slate, but whatever article I caught that was covering that right before we hopped on set had an Instagram embed of her singing, I believe it was a Beauty and the Beast song. She is so talented. I never knew that. But after listening to that, I've got a whole lot of faith in her performance ability in that respect. And I think she is probably on the rise big time. This movie, if this casting is official and goes through, will no doubt solidify it. And I think it probably is a good sign that she and Ansel Elgort will be reuniting. Hopefully that means they had a great experience on Baby Driver and want to keep working together. But I don't know. I mean, my first reaction to that was cool. I like it.
Yeah, I liked it too. Isa is fantastic, a Mexican actress, and young, under 30. So this is interesting for Anita because Rita Moreno always kind of exuded the older kind of vibe. She wasn't older, she just exuded that vibe. So, but Isa doesn't necessarily exude that older vibe. So this is interesting to me. Are they going to go more specific to teen? Are they going to cast teens in these roles? Ansel is doing the part that he's doing, but who is going to be playing, Maria? This is what we're waiting on, right? We haven't had the cast for Maria yet. You hear Isa Gonzalez being a part of this, Dennis. Are you excited about it too?
Yeah, I mean, look, West Side Story, a new version. The only reason I'm interested in the rebooted version because Steven Spielberg is involved, and then this is a good casting. She has star quality as evidenced in a Baby Driver. It's just one of those stories that the original was good, and just watching that one would be fine for me. But if Spielberg thinks he has like a different take or a different angle on this, then I'm much more interested. But if they had announced this movie with a director I didn't really care for, I would probably just pass it by.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm this is more of a curious thing for me, watching it all play out. Who is going to get cast? Can Spielberg do? Like, Spielberg has never directed a musical. So what is that? How does that, how does that factor into the situation? Of course, he's got a great team behind him working on this as well. But Isa Gonzalez is a very nice choice. I like her as an actress. And like Perri said, she had a dynamic performance in Baby Driver with the limited amount of screen time that she had. But this bodes well that they're going in this direction, not casting who like the easiest casting choices would be. They're casting for people who are legitimately talented and can bring this thing to life. And so it's exciting. It's exciting.
Right, Scarlett Johansson wasn't available for that role.
Oh, man. What a shot right at the end there from our favorite Dennis Zhang at poor Scarlett, just ScarJo, poor ScarJo. Anyway, all right, well, that's a good way to end this episode of Collider Movie Talk. Thanks, everybody, for watching here today. As I said earlier, there will be another brand new spanking episode of Movie Talk hosted by Mark Ellis tomorrow. So in the meantime, tweet this out. Let us know what you thought. Do all the business that you do there for a Collider video, and we will talk to you tomorrow here on Collider Movie Talk.
Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.